Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may the Divine Being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the Divine Being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace. Peace and beneficence be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. And as we develop this talk today, I think we'll be able to see this wonderful translation done by Swami Yogeshananda of this ancient prayer as perhaps more relevant than we might think. May the Divine Being look over us, support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. What a lovely, lovely prayer. So, good morning and namaste, everyone. Welcome to our conversation and discussion this morning of the topic, what is it you are trying to quiet? We'll get to what that title means after a bit. First, just this announcement. We continue on lockdown here at the center. There is, of course, the variant out there. I've forgotten the name of it, but the variant that is very aggressive and has learned to evade the immune system. So we're being very, very cautious with one another. So no face-to-face meetings until further notice. Of course, the chapel is open for your private use. No need to wear a mask unless there's someone else in the chapel with you. And if you wish to have an interview with me, all you need to do is email me or call me. And please call on the cell phone number. So it's best to email me first. I'll send you the cell phone number, and then we can discuss an appointment. So is there any announcement that I might have made that I did not think to make?
Brother Shankar?
Yes, dear Bhagavat.
Just wanted to bring everyone update that Pranav Lahiri is not doing very well. He has tumor disseminated in the entire body. He has been removed to hospice as of day before yesterday. The name of the hospice is Harbor Grace Hospice. The address is 3.
Well, would you post the address as a chat?
Sure.
People won't be able to take it down quickly.
Right, I understand that. Thank you. I was thinking the same thing.
Okay, very good, dear. What Bhagirath was saying is that our beloved old friend and very, very early member of this congregation and member of the Board of Trustees for years and years, our first treasurer, when the treasury was literally 1 American quarter in a cigar box. That's what it was when Pranab Lahiri took over as treasurer for Swami Yogeshananda all those years ago. He's now, as Bhagirath said, been moved to hospice, and that means he's probably not expected to live that much longer. So we can all hold Pranab Lahiri and his companion for these last many years, Vimala Nikor, where we can hold those two in our hearts and prayers as they go through this transition. Thank you, Bhagarat, for bringing that up.
Okay.
Many of you don't know Pranab, but believe you me, he is a great soul, and we were very fortunate to have him for so many years as a member of this congregation and as a member of the Board of Trustees. He retired, I think, about 3 years ago from the Board of Trustees, and it was because of his failing health and lack of energy. So that's now matured into what's taken him into hospice. Anything else from anyone before we move on? All right, dears. Again, thank you for your attention this morning. October is a month for study of Jnana Yoga, Advaita Vedanta, non-dual Vedanta. As a Jnana yogi, you practice discrimination, viveka, reason, manana, detachment, vairagya, and satyagraha, insistence on truth. Insistence on what truth? Brahman alone is real. Everything else is a superimposition or illusory. And that's what we're going to discuss this morning. What is this that the jnani is detaching from and insisting that no, that is not the truth? So the goal of jnana yoga is freedom from limitation, moksha. Our teachers say that all miseries in life are caused by seeing inaccurately. By seeing inaccurately. When an earnest and persistent jnani breaks through this misapprehension, which is called Maya, she or he sees only the divine presence everywhere, in everything, and in everyone. The divine presence, of course, is both Saguna Brahman, Brahman with attributes, the attributes of manifestation, and Nirguna Brahman, that is, which is beyond manifestation, that gives rise to manifestation. But first, what they do is they say neti neti, not this, not that, to all manifestation. So that's what they're trying to quiet, what it is they're saying, not this, not that, to. So the topic is, what is it you are trying to quiet as a jnani? Now, as I say every week now, this is not meant as personal instruction for you. It's not my role to serve in that way. My role is to present to you the practices and principles of the 4 yogas. This month, we're talking about Jnana Yoga. So please don't take anything that is said personally, that you just take from this what, if anything, you find useful to you. If you find nothing useful here, well and good. Pass on to something that you do find useful. But this is, I think you'll see, an interesting discussion of what it is that the Jnana Yogi, what it is, if you are practicing as a Jnana Yogi, what it is you're trying to quiet, or in the language of the Jnana Yogis, what is it you're trying to ignore? The Sage Vasishtha tells Prince Rama that to succeed as a jnana yogi, one must learn to quiet or ignore all the contents of one's awareness. This is our waking awareness, our dream sleep awareness, and for that matter, our latent subconscious or unconscious awareness. All of this is a disturbance or vritti in the mind stuff. So this is, it detracts your attention from the reality behind it. So we're trying to learn to quiet or ignore all the contents of one's awareness. For you, the source of this, for those of you who wish to know, is the Yoga Vasishtha, the 3 days of instructions that the Sage Vasishtha gives to Lord Rama when he's still a prince. Only when this quieting of the mind is ignored, only when this quieting of the mind is achieved, Vasishtha says, will that which gives rise to our awareness be realized. And notice the word realized. It is not something that we understand, because if we have quieted or stilled the mind or ignored it successfully, there is no mind in that state of awareness or consciousness that comes in realization or nirvikalpa samadhi. An illumined yogi becomes pure consciousness, a knower of Brahman, but not in the sense that we normally think of knowing, which is something we can talk about or hold in concepts. The knower of Brahman cannot tell you what it is that they know, because it's beyond that. They can only gesture at it. As a jnana yogi, she or he may leave the body behind then and there at this realization. She or he may leave the body behind then and there or shortly thereafter. Maximum of 21 days, it is said. So they may never return to the body after realization, or if they do, there will be just this brief period of whatever happens to them, and then they leave the body. Only a few realized souls, only a few realized souls remain with us embodied to teach. Recent examples are Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda, Ramana Maharshi, and Nisargadatta Maharaj. That's in chronological order, so to speak. Swami Vivekananda, Sri Ramakrishna left the body in 1886, Swami Vivekananda in 1902, Ramana Maharshi in, I think, 1953, and I don't remember when Nisargadatta Maharaj left. Each of these teachers, in his own way, echoes precisely what Vasishtha taught, that you must learn to quiet or ignore the mind, and that is both the left and right mind. Not just the chatterbox left mind, but both aspects of our mind. The profound challenge of this, of course, then, if we think about ignoring or quieting both the left and right minds, the profound challenge of this path comes self-evident. This morning we will discuss that challenge through study of the Devi Mahatmyam. What is the Devi Mahatmyam? It's 700 verses in praise of the Divine Mother as Durga. Durga being the one, in some people's language, some people's way of thinking, the overarching form of mother in which all others are contained. That's why we just practiced this chanting of Jai Shri Durga during Navaratri, which was a worship of Durga herself in all her forms. But the Devi Mahatmyam is some 900 years old, and it is the scripture of those people who worship the Divine Mother, or the Shaktas, those people who worship Shakti, or the Divine Mother. In the Devi Mahatmyam's hymns, there are 4 in the Devi Mahatmyam. In its hymns, the Divine Presence is described and praised as the Mother of the universe, author of everything one can know and experience, and its essence. It also says that great inconceivable penances are required for her realization. Together, we will explore what that means and why it is so. This is the great challenge of the Jnani. So before we go ahead, is there any comment from your own wisdom or experience, or any concern or question that any of that raises that you'd like to discuss with us, the congregation? This is studying the art of spirituality together.
So according to what you said, the God-realized yoga masters like Swami Vivekananda and Ramana Maharshi, they experienced the highest samadhi, but most people leave the body soon after that, but they did not. So they could teach us. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, exactly. And they are, so to speak, given a commission by the Divine Mother to teach this way. As Swami Vivekananda said, the Divine Mother made me her slave. That's what he said. A slave to her mission that he teach. Other examples, of course, are Adi Shankaracharya. We can say also the Buddha, and of course Christ. But the 4 examples that I gave were from relatively recent times. But all of these they retain, according to Sri Ramakrishna, either the ego of wisdom, a slender thread of ego of wisdom, or of love, or both, which was embodied in Christ and in Sri Ramakrishna, in order to remain with us, to do the great inconceivable penances on our behalf, so that they can share them with us, so that we do not have to do them. As we'll discuss, as we'll get to toward the end of this talk, it's a very difficult time for us to practice these great penances. So these great teachers do it for us, and are able to share the results of they're able to share their spiritual treasure with us. Thanks for the question, Ramadas. That was right on point. Anything else from anyone? All right, to begin our discussion, let's hear from the Chandi. The Devi Mahatmyam is also called the Chandi. That's the expression I'll use for the rest of the talk, the Chandi. First, let's hear from the Chandi's opening hymn, in which Brahma is describing and praising his mother. So who is Brahma? Well, if we are to believe the scriptures, the scriptures of Sanatana Dharma, when manifestation occurred and the Divine Mother descended, Om, Oing, Hring, Om being the undifferentiated Brahman or Prakriti, Purusha, I mean, and then it takes form as Purusha and Prakriti, Oing and Hring. And so this Hring, this divine being as mother, as the divine feminine, she gives birth to 3 mind-born sons whose responsibilities are to create, Brahma, preserve and sustain, Vishnu, and transform or destroy and recreate, give back to Brahma to recreate the universe itself, all manifestation. So these are her 3 mind-born sons, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. It is Brahma who's speaking, and he's trying to enlist the attention and the aid of his mother, because her demonic children have taken charge of everything and, in the words of the Chandi, robbed the devas of their prowess. The devas are those who serve Vishnu to sustain and protect. So the form of the divine as Brahma is asking his mother to come and restrain the conduct of her demonic children, who are preventing the devas from doing their work of sustaining and protecting the universe. So we're going to hear from that opening hymn. Our reader will be Catherine, who lives in Macon, Georgia. She and Nira Nikor join me pretty much every Tuesday and Saturday morning on Zoom to read the Chandi hymns. And if any of you, the rest of you wish to join us, you're welcome to 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday mornings and Saturday mornings. There's a link on the Zoom list on the website for you to join us if you wish. So far, it's been pretty much just Catherine and Nikor. So Catherine will read to us from the first hymn, verses 1 and 2. Please, Catherine.
Brahma said, "You are Svaha and Svadha. You are verily the Vasatkara and embodiment of Svara. You are the nectar. O eternal and imperishable one, you are the embodiment of the threefold matra. You are half a matra, though eternal. You are verily that which cannot be uttered specifically. You are Savitri and the supreme mother of the Devas. By you, this universe is born. By you, this world is created. By you, it is protected, O Devi, and you always consume it at the end. O you, who are always of the form of the whole world. At the time of creation, you are of the form of the creative force. At the time of sustentation, you are of the form of the protective power. And at the time of the dissolution of the world, you are of the form of the destructive power. You are the supreme knowledge as well as the great nescience, the great intellect and contemplation, as also the great delusion, the great Devi, as also the great Asuri."
Thank you, Catherine. So there are some terms in here that, if you'd like, I mean, I can define them, but what we get is from this that she is everything, everything. The bright, the dark, the angelic, the demonic, the angelic, the devas, the demonic, the asuras or daityas, that have defeated the devas and have taken possession of the universe and are preventing the devas from sustaining and protecting it. And they are, in their greedy way, taking everything. So the devas come to Brahma and say, oh, won't you appeal to your mother to right the ship here, to restrain the conduct of her demonic children. She is the great Asuri, the great demoness, and these are her demon children who have done this. And she, as well as the great goddess, the great Devi. So this, now we begin to get some sense of what it is that we're trying to restrain. All this activity, all of this, if we're going to be a jnani, what is it we're trying to ignore? So from what Catherine read and what's been said so far, anything you'd like to offer from your own wisdom or experience, or any concern or question? Anything at all? This is, we need to get these things straight before we go ahead, because if there's anything that isn't understood, how can we build on that misunderstanding?
I have a comment, Brother Shankara. This is Haima from Denver.
Yes.
Namaste, good morning.
Namaste.
And today, day before Diwali is also Naraka Chaturdasi, what we call in South India. Narakasura, who is Bhudevi's son, was giving so much trouble and Kali kills him. So we celebrate Naraka Chaturdasi also. So definitely from what Kat read, Devi is in control, Kali. Chandi is in control. Definitely.
She has many names, including Kali.
Yes,
indeed.
Exactly. She is in control and everything will happen. She will demolish the egoistic people at the right time. I know we think when, but it will come. That's what
she doesn't exactly demolish them. What it says in the Chandi is, "O mother, don't you reduce to ashes all asuras," the demonic ones. "Don't you reduce to ashes all asuras by mere sight? But you direct your weapons against them, so that even the inimical ones, purified by the missiles, may attain the higher worlds. Such is your most kindly intention toward them." So she doesn't really destroy or demolish them. She disempowers them.
Yes.
And then takes them to the higher worlds so that they may attain a higher life, a different kind of life. There's always this love and compassion of the mother, even for her demonic children. It's really a stunning story when you read Devi Mahatmyam. But thank you. And
thank you so much.
Kali does kill these beings.
The ego of the
Durga, Navaratri celebrates Durga's triumph over Mahisasura, the great demonic being who had taken control of the universe.
Yes.
And so she, in this epic struggle, it's described in detail in the Chandi, in this epic struggle, she finally kills him. So this is the same story told in a different way that Haima just told us about Kali. And what is her son's name?
Narakasura. He is Mother Earth's son. That's what we were told in epics. Yes. Mother Earth's son. He was, he was just torturing the country and people. Then
Yes.
Bhudevi is the mother earth. She prays Indra and Brahma, all she prays that, look what my son is doing. You need to do something about it. So she actually asks for his killing of ego.
Yes,
His
yes, yes.
ego needs to be demolished. That's when she does it tonight, this day. And then that's how in South India we believe Narakasura dies, and then we light up the homes and everybody comes out of the house. In
Yes.
those days, that is why the Deepavali comes, all the lighting of the house and
Yes.
celebrating with
And
feast and
celebrate,
family.
yes.
Then people can walk freely on the streets. When Narakasura was alive, people couldn't walk. Women couldn't walk at all. So he was torturing everybody. That's the story which we heard when we were growing up.
Yes, yes.
And one more thing.
There, she may know more.
No,
Thank you.
tell also what the meaning of Naraka. Naraka is hell. So he was, or she was, whoever was doing that, giving trouble, was the direct agent of Naraka, hell. So
In other words, a servant of Satan within our
yeah,
Judeo-Christian,
Exactly. Equivalent of Satan.
yeah.
Judeo-Christian language.
Yes.
Thank you, Uma. Thank you, Umaji.
One of the demons that is the servant of Satan. So this is the scriptures and spiritual literature of the world are filled with these stories, and the Devi Mahatmyam is one that tells this story three times, and that's why there are these 4 hymns: the introductory hymn, and then one for each of the 3 times that Mother does defeat the demonic, the Daityas and the Asuras, and restore righteousness. So anything else before we go on? This is wonderful. This is exactly what we should be doing.
I guess there is so many sort of instruments of that Narakasura even today, living and acting in this world, especially at very high powerful positions. And I was almost thinking like, Devi keeps on destroying these Narakasura agents and they keep cropping up. What is the Leela?
This is the Leela. These are her children. This is why, as someone, a dear friend from many decades, who now lives in Santa Fe, New Mexico, said that this time we're living in looks like the opening of another chapter, a 4th chapter of the Chandi. And indeed it does. If you read the Chandi, you'll see why I say this and why Deepak, my friend in Santa Fe, said that. It looks like the opening of another chapter of the Chandi.
Mm-hmm.
So anything else from anyone? All right. In one of the later hymns in the Chandi, the Divine Mother is praised as, and this is the quote, the all-pervading Devi, who constantly presides over the senses of all beings and governs all the elements. The all-pervading Devi, who constantly presides over the senses of all beings and governs all the elements. Now, if as a jnani, all of your senses are being presided over by the Mother, and all the elements of your being are being governed by the Mother, you see why great inconceivable penances are required to overcome this. This is monstrous in terms of what is the challenge. It is huge, truly huge. But these ideas of constantly, the all-pervading, constantly presiding, governing, these ideas are familiar to us. In the Judeo-Christian vocabulary, we commonly speak of the divine being as omnipresent, all-pervading, omniscient, all-knowing or all-presiding, and omnipotent, all-powerful, all-governing. So these are not unfamiliar ideas to us. And this is why in the book of Job, in the Old Testament of the Judeo-Christian Bible, we see that Satan, these demonic aspects of the world, the ones that the being that strips Job of everything in the test of his devotion, strips Job of everything that he is, including his very health. He is permitted to do this by the divine being. First, the accuser, or Satan's agent, or Satan himself, comes to God and says, "Oh, you think Job loves you so? Just take everything from him and see if that remains." And God says, "I can't do that." And so Satan mocks him and says, "Ha ha, see, I told you. You're afraid to do it because if you do, then you'll lose him as your devotee." And God says, "I can't do it. But if you believe that this is what will happen, I give you permission to do it." This is what's spoken of in the Judeo-Christian tradition. And so if you read the story of Job, he does not denounce or renounce God for taking everything from him. He doesn't identify. He is a great Jnani. He does not identify all the things that are his upadhis, all of his possessions, all of his family, all of his well-being, even his health. All of these are taken from him, and he's left covered with boils and sores, and living in the remains of a spiritual fire in sackcloth and ashes. And finally, the demonic one agrees that Job truly is devoted to Brahman, to the divine being, beyond all manifestation. And so in the story, of course, everything is restored to Job. But so I say, none of these ideas are unfamiliar to us from the Judeo-Christian perspective. It's just, these are wonderful, wonderfully formulated ideas as they come to us through Sanatana Dharma and its many aspects, including this Shakti worship in the Devi Mahatmyam. Any other comments or questions before we go on?
Two things, Brother Shankara, that come to my mind. One is about Parsi religion. And Parsi is originally from Iran. And they migrated to India ages ago. And in their religion, which is some aspects of that religion are very similar to Hinduism. But particularly, there is a reference in Parsi religion to what they call Mara, M-A-R-A. Mara is evil incarnate, just Satan. And it destroys everything that is good in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a demonic type, very evil spirit. And they are great fire worshippers. And they worship even Mara as God or form of God.
Yes.
Very, very strange, but that's true.
Well, we worship the Divine Mother, though she is both the great demoness
Yeah,
as well as the great Devi.
yeah.
It's not a strange idea to us at all.
Oh,
If we worship the Divine Mother, we're doing exactly that. And though the Christians don't normally cognize this, if they worship God the Father, as Christ spoke of him, they're worshiping that dark aspect as well as. And
right.
in the Old Testament, he's very clear.
Mhm.
He, the God the Father, is very clear that he's the one that's responsible for all of the darkness as well as the light. So these are not unfamiliar ideas.
I see.
These-
So, yeah,
and it's interesting that if you read the story of Valmiki and his relationship with Rama,
yeah,
he is not able to say Rama because he is such a dark personality when he first comes to his teacher.
yeah.
And so what does the teacher tell him to say? Say Mara.
Mara,
Mara, Mara, Mara,
the
Mara,
opposite.
Mara. He comes to say, and it is exactly, Rama is the remover of darkness from the world,
Yeah,
and Mara is the darkness of the world.
yes. So in Parsi, it's
Mara.
Mara. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
So this is this Parsi business,
Yeah.
and their way of going about things. As you say, there's many cognates there.
yes, yes.
Cognates.
And Brother Shankar, there is another point on a totally different vein of thought. Yes, we should, this is all about quietening our, what shall I say, evil ideas or vasanas, our negative emotions, chitta vritti, that Patanjali calls. But what about another kind of voice, which is pure, which works like antahkaran, conscience, pure conscious voice, or what Gandhiji called my still small voice.
Yes, yes. This is
Yeah.
this is the voice of the Buddhi.
Yes.
This is the voice of the Buddhi. We'll get to the 24 cosmic principles here in a few minutes.
Okay.
But this is the voice of the Buddhi. The Buddhi speaks within us
Mhm.
and is our guiding light, our conscience,
Exactly.
and it is pure consciousness itself.
Yes.
It is the first of the cosmic principles that appears after the great cause. The great cause is the first cosmic principle
Yes.
within Sankhya. The first then that appears within that great cause's causation, there is this dawning of awareness, consciousness.
Yes.
It is pure consciousness, but now it's taken form. But it first takes form in this extremely subtle way as the Buddhi. The Buddhi, this ability to discriminate and guide. This is this, that is that. And as it devolves into our humanity, the discriminating power becomes our conscience, this still small voice, as the poet called it. And it guides us. But in our youth, we learn to ignore it. We learn to ignore the Buddhi by the example of those around us who we see practice deception and other forms of ignoring the conscience.
Yes. And
Thank you, Uma.
Yeah, it's not to be confused with Freud's guilty conscience.
No.
Total different.
That's a whole other conversation, and we don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Freud is not on our radar. Anything else from anyone about these things before we move on?
Brother, or on the fire topic, like in Diwali, we also light lamps, diya, ghee diya, and in Vedic scriptures. I mean, I haven't read a lot, barely scratching the surface, but it seems that the diya that we light today is sort of the simpler, trimmed down version of the Vedic sacrifice.
Yes,
And
exactly. Precisely. And you'll notice there's a candle burning behind for exactly that reason. The metaphor for illumination, the
Yes.
metaphor for awakening, for the dawn, for awakening, for illumination, all of that. The light, every light is a symbol for those things. Thank you, Rajiv. That's exactly right.
and so there is two things. One is the sun, the color of the sun, and the diya. And then in Veda, there is a reference to Agni. And it seems that Agni represents like the divine will in us. Like there is this divine will inside that is constantly pushing somebody towards evolution, but it is very subtle. So I think this diya is like some sort of either a reminder or some sort of like occult practice, like, wake up the
No,
divine
not a
will
cult,
within you.
not a cult practice.
No,
Not
no.
a cult practice. It is, you said the right word, it is a reminder to us. It is a metaphor. And Agni, of course, within Sanatana Dharma is the god of fire. He's the deva responsible for fire. So all fire, whether it be the sun, this candle, the Diwali lights, this is all Agni. And it is, Agni is, of course, what it is what is it that everything is offered into? Everything is offered into the fire. The fire of what? The fire of Brahman. Brahman is what is being offered to, and Agni is the instrument by which this Brahman is the offering, Brahman is the ritual. Om Brahmarpanam Brahma Havir, from the Gita. So these are all very familiar ideas. So we're connecting the dots, and thank you for helping connect the dots. But look at what we're talking about. We're talking about all of this manifestation that is part of our lives. This is what the yogi, the jnana yogi, is trying to successfully, totally ignore. Very difficult. Anything else? All right.
I have a comment.
Yes, please.
It just seems to me that whether it's a Christian, Judeo-Christian story like Job or some of the Hindu stories here, we're all talking about, I guess you'll using the word negative forces in the world. If I'm identified with me being this body in this world, I'm attached to all this. And if everything is going well for that, shall we say, individual, there's no reason to seek or to look for what is really the truth. Everything's going fine, but by these negative forces continuing to come and to do their thing, so to speak, that individual then is forced to look for what is really the truth. So as a jnana yogi, if you will, for me, I'm interested in saying whatever you can think about or whatever can be presented, I'm not interested. I'm interested in what it is that it's presenting to. That is where I'm going to. So whatever's happening from that perspective is an illusion. What is it presenting to is what I'm looking at. And that's where I tried to go.
Well, this is, and the operative word in that sentence is try or attempt. And that means that there has not been success. And that is why I'm saying this is very difficult indeed. And this is why the Divine Mother, in the form of Sri Sharada Devi, who we call Holy Mother, said, in time you'll come to see every suffering as a blessing.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Yeah, that's
That was right on
absolutely.
point. Okay.
That's the point.
Yep, that's exactly it. So, anything else from anyone before we go on?
Brother Gaurav here.
Yes, Gaurav.
Yes, we are worshipping Ma Kali, and actually, if we think about it, even like the Mahadev, we worship the Mahakal. That's again destruction and complete annihilation of everything. So that's pretty dark in itself too, if you think about it.
So it would seem.
Yes, so it would seem exactly. But with destruction comes creation. So
With destruction comes transformation. Yes.
yes. So
Which
yeah,
is what John was pointing at also.
exactly. And if you think about it, I'm no physician, but like when a child is formed, it's formed in the darkness, actually, inside the womb where there's no light.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah,
Well,
we should embrace the darkness too. Means without that we would.
we must, if we're going to successfully get beyond it,
Yes.
we must embrace it. This is where we'll end this talk, is what Sri Ramakrishna says about embracing this, the entirety of the mother's doing.
And you had mentioned the book how to learn how to walk in the dark or something.
In the dark, yes.
Yes.
It is absolutely fantastic. I think.
Learning to walk in the dark by Barbara Brown Taylor.
Yes.
Learning to walk in the dark by Barbara Brown Taylor. She is, by the way, deserving of your attention. Any of the books that she wrote, starting with her memoir, Leaving Church, which is about her leaving the Episcopal ministry. It's just, her latest book is called Holy Envy. It's all of her books are well worth your attention, but that learning to walk in the dark and embrace the darkness is really, and not think of the darkness as something that is an enemy to us. So very difficult.
No, it is not. It's beautiful.
Yes.
And the thing is, like when the sun is not shining, because of the overwhelming light, we don't get to see a lot of beautiful things in our lives.
Precisely. Our senses are overwhelmed, and so we don't see the subtle. It's the subtle. This is why it is said, to the yogi, daytime is night, and nighttime is day.
Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagrati sanyi. And the opposite.
Yes.
Thank you, Uma. So yes, that's exactly it.
Like my mother Kali's worship is at night. It's
Oh yes, it'll take.
and even if you do the Durga mantra at night, it's a different feel altogether. Means
Yes. Well, the Kali worship will take place at the Hollywood Vedanta Society of Southern California on Monday night, and for many decades, I attended those Kali pujas, and believe me, it is powerful indeed. So, anything else from anyone before we ramble on to the conclusion of this talk? All right. Since the Divine Mother is also seen to have total command and authority over the three gunas, it's said she possesses them. She possesses them. They are her instruments. Since she has total command and authority over the three gunas, that pretty well wraps it up. The Divine Mother both is and is in full control of Sankhya's 24 cosmic principles, which is everything we can know or experience, and all that by which we know or experience it. She is in full control and command of the Sankhya's 24 cosmic principles. So is it any wonder that the spiritual aspirant finds it very difficult to quiet the effects of her presence? She is everything you or I can know or experience. She is quite literally what we see, hear, taste, smell, or touch. How can we ignore her? Yet that is precisely the Jnani's challenge. And here's what Sri Ramakrishna says in the Gospel about this. Sri Ramakrishna says, the mother holds the key. The mother holds the key to nirvikalpa samadhi, to realization. Until we recognize and embrace that and acknowledge her. This is what Sri Ramakrishna says. Until we acknowledge that and embrace that, we will not get beyond that door. She holds the key to the door. Now, is there any proof of this other than Sri Ramakrishna saying it? You may recall that Sri Ramakrishna had a teacher named Totapuri. Totapuri came to him after having been the head of the Puri monastery. And he had been there for 40 years. And he came as a child. He attained jnana, the state of jnana, the state of realization. But there was still something left to learn. Totapuri came and he taught Sri Ramakrishna the Advaita path, as he did in those days, because Sri Ramakrishna was who he was, to Totapuri's utter confoundment and amazement. Sri Ramakrishna mastered it in 3 days. Totapuri said, what took me 40 years, he has done in 3 days. As a result, he was absolutely, as anyone who truly came to see who the master was, he was utterly charmed and captivated by the master. And though Totapuri's habit was to stay no longer than 3 days at any one place, but that's the very traditional way of these yogis. Though his habit was to stay no longer than 3 days in any one place, he stayed with Sri Ramakrishna for 11 months. And here's how the story ended. He had continued to mock Sri Ramakrishna for his worship of the Divine Mother in the form of Kali. When Sri Ramakrishna was clapping and chanting in front of the image, Tota would say, what are you doing, making chapatis? But there was still something for him to learn. And here's how he learned it. Toward the end of that 11 months, he got such bad amoebic dysentery that his body was intolerably in pain. There was no cure for that in those days. It's difficult to cure now, but there was nothing for it in those days. This is 1880 something. So he decided, as was perfectly legitimate for a yogi of his stature, to take his own life. It's called a Ganga Pravesh, suicide by drowning yourself in the Ganges. So one night, being in this terrible pain and making this resolution, he started to walk out into the Ganges. Now, I'm not asking you to believe this. I'm only asking you to hear it and consider it. He walked out into the Ganges. We know how deep the Ganges is there, close to the Ganges Delta. He could find water no deeper than his knees. He walked so far that he could see across this wide river in the middle of the night. He could see the lights of the villages on the other shore. He was confounded. He couldn't understand, how is this happening? And finally it dawned on him the truth of what Sri Ramakrishna had been telling him all this time, that the mother is in control of everything. The moment he had that thought and grasped it in its fullness and its reality, boom, the whole thing was over. He had this tremendous realization, and he came to the understanding that Sri Ramakrishna calls vijnana, special knowledge. Beyond jnana is vijnana. Beyond the neti is asi. This. He said, he acknowledged that the Divine Mother was in fact in control of everything, and he could not take his own life without her permission. In that moment, if we are to believe the story, his amoebic dysentery completely disappeared. He was restored to full health. As I said, I'm not expecting you to believe this. I'm just expecting you to consider it. It's not a question of whether there's no dogmas here. This is the story of Totapuri as told by Sri Ramakrishna. So from here, there is belief and awe and wonder that this is what happened. And now the Totapuri's time with Sri Ramakrishna was complete. He left. No one knows what happened to him afterwards, at least as is related in anything I've ever read. So this is the story as told by how to achieve total realization. And how very difficult it is.
Brother Gaurav here.
Yes, Gaurav.
Can we, mother is very receptive. You mean she can, if you reach out to her, she's reaching back out to you. Means it generally happens that way. So can we say that mother is the, I would say the receptive version of Brahman who's reaching out to you?
Yes, exactly.
And Lord and Shiva or Mahadev is the introspective, meditative version of the Brahman.
Oh, but if we look at Shiva, if we look at Mahadev truly, nothing really can be known of him. There are all these stories.
Yes.
He is beyond the grasp of the mind. So this is Brahman, yes. This is Brahman as
so it's two faces of the Brahman. One is outward looking and one is inward looking. And
precisely.
Outward looking is mother.
This is why when we see Kali with Shiva, we see that Kali is the active one, but she has her foot on his chest.
Yes.
He is recumbent. He is apparently dead, not dead, but he's in samadhi. He's in total samadhi. But the energy from which she is drawing all of her power and all of her manifestation is coming from that.
Yes.
This is Om Hrim Ritam. Oh, this is Om Oing Hring. Om Oing Hring. This is the Om, the our word, our symbol for the unmanifest coming into manifestation as the divine masculine and the divine feminine. As you say, the divine masculine is inward looking, inward turned, and outward turned. And this is why Sri Ramakrishna is said to be the embodiment of both, which he said himself. Pointing to his body, he said, there are two here, the mother and her worshipper. So this is why there is reason to take seriously what Sri Ramakrishna said, if it's of any merit or use to you. Anything else from anyone before
Brother, I feel like there's many scholars and like yogis, I would say, that believe that Ramakrishna, Sri Ramakrishna has come up with like a new philosophy that integrates everything. It's like rediscovering the old spirituality that was lost. As you know, I think there's like some talks on Vigyan Vedanta. And, I was thinking about it, and I felt that Buddha and Shankaracharya were preparing the spiritual souls for Kali Yuga, and Ramakrishna is preparing the spiritual souls for Satyuga. Maybe it's my speculation, but
No, this is exactly what we're told here. This is precisely what we're told. But it was the Buddha and Adi Shankaracharya were desperately trying to right the ship during Kali Yuga. They were trying to give us, and they both gave us, great sustenance during the Kali Yuga. Adi Shankaracharya in his own way, both his teachings on the Advaita path, Vivekachudamani and others, and his great devotion, Bhajagovindam. The Buddha, as Vivekananda said, the great karma yogi, teaching us the path of karma, without talking about any of the things that surrounded it. The Vivekananda said the Buddha was the great karma yogi, for giving us the karma path, just all by itself. And look what happened. How many millions, probably billions at this point, of people are practicing Buddhists? It has become like all spiritual traditions. It has become very varied in its practice here and there. But the basic core principles are the same. Right action, right thought, right behavior. And however,
Right achivika, means of earning, making living. Right.
and as your beloved Gandhi said of Sri Ramakrishna, if you wish to understand the Vedas, study the life of Sri Ramakrishna. He lived them.
Yes.
If you wish to understand the Vedas, study the life of Sri Ramakrishna. He lived them.
Yes.
Yes. Brother Shankara.
Yes.
Hari Om. This is
Hari
Vijay.
Om, Hari Om Vijay.
Happy Diwali to everyone. Just want to make a comment. A while ago, you told the beautiful story of Totapuri Ji, and you said to believe it or not. And my comment is that any story is not a story anymore if we start seeing the presence of Devi in everything, the mother in everything, and whatever is happening every day, positive or negative, then the story is not a story anymore.
Thank you for seeing it that way, Vijay. We can invite everyone to see it in this way. And as Gora pointed out, the mother always will come running. Sri Ramakrishna says that if we call out to the mother, he says, she will drop whatever she is doing and come running, take you on her lap, and clean you up, that is purified, and set you on the path of spiritual achievement. Arise, awake, stop not till the goal is reached. If you are having difficulty with that, the thing to do, as Sri Ramakrishna says, is call on the mother with a tearful eye, and she will come running. Practice just a little, and someone will come forward to help you. Thank you, Vijay.
Thank you, Brother Shankara. And just a personal message from dear friend Tom Carr. Tom has sent you a short message on the chat. You can read it later. Thank you.
Brother Shankara,
Yes, dear.
in Chandi, we also read all about she exists in the form of faith. So
Yes.
faith, I mean, is everything believing it as a story or believing it's our own faith? Depends on our faith.
Well, this is what is meant when it is said that mother is everything. Everything. She is our disbelief. She is our belief. She is our faith. She is our attraction. She is our repulsion. She is all of this. And this is what John Dano was pointing at when he said, as a jnani, you just have to sum this all up and say, I'm just not going to look there. I'm going to look elsewhere. But very, very difficult to achieve.
Yes, yes.
I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It is very difficult to achieve, which is why Sri Ramakrishna said that in this age, in this end of the Kali Yuga and the beginning of the Satyuga, as was pointed out to us, this is the end of the Kali Yuga and the beginning of the Satyuga, age of the golden age, the age of Dharma, the full restoration of Dharma, which is incalculable to us. We have no idea what that means, but this is what is said. At this time, Sri Ramakrishna said, the path that is most productive for us is the path of bhakti. Again, that's not an instruction. It's simply passing along what Sri Ramakrishna said. So anything else from anyone?
Yeah, Brother Shankara, what comes in the way of our not being able to see the presence of mother in everything that's happening is the ego, our ignorance that creeps in very easily. And then that's the moment to catch myself and say, okay, I need to look within myself, introspection, and be able to come back to centering myself to the original point of everything is mother.
Yes, exactly. But this is what the Chandi tells us. Mother is the ignorance as well. Mother is the delusion. She sends the universe whirling about again and again in delusion, in the depths of attachment.
And she actually gives us this body too. So along with that comes the samskaras, brother.
So the samsara and the samskaras, yes.
Yeah, both of them are given by mother too. So.
Yes, but we're told they not only are given by her, they are her.
Are her, yes.
We are her. This is
yeah.
This is what the deep secret is that we as the manifest being
Realizing that, yes.
are the mother. And that's one of the messages, the reading between the lines of that book, Learning to Walk in the Dark, from the perspective of Ramakrishna Vivekananda Vedanta, is that we are the light, we are the darkness, and the light and the darkness is mother.
Then yeah.
Mother is, like you said, she is delusion and illusion both at the same time.
Delusion, illusion, and illumination. She gives us both enjoyment, which is delusion, and liberation.
Brother, there's like,
Hold
I
on
don't know
just
if
a
it
minute,
happens.
Rajiv. Oh, hold on just a minute. I think Gaurav had something at the same time as Niru.
Yes. All I was saying is, I think Saint Francis of Assisi from the Catholic order, he had said that that heaven lives. You don't have to look for heaven; it's within you or something. It's very
Well,
close to you. You just have to reach out to it.
this is what this. He's only paraphrasing Christ. That's exactly
Exactly.
what Christ said. It's within and without, but you see it not out. You don't see it either place.
Yeah.
It's easy to see it first inside, and then having discovered it inside, you see it outside as well, which is what Sri Ramakrishna meant when he
Yes.
said Vivekananda.
It is astounding how this is constant. Means across all these spiritual giants.
Oh yes. Well, what does it say in the Rig Veda? Truth is
Yes.
one. Sages call it variously.
Yes.
Sages speak of it variously. So, Rajiv.
Yeah, so I don't know if it happens now, but at least we are told that in sort of the ancient times, like robbers and all sorts of like evil people used to worship certain forms of Kali. Like, do they get transformed by that worship, or maybe they were not worshiping Kali but something else?
No, they were definitely worshiping Kali, the Thuggis, they were called. This is where we get the word thug. The Thuggis, and perhaps others as well, but the Thuggis were definitely worshiping Kali. And part of the aspects of Halloween that have come down to us, as we'll hear next Sunday, part of this comes from that. This sense of there being something dark and evil about this night, and this worship, this bonfire. The bonfire is bonfire, and in the beginning, that bonfire contained human bones. Humans were sacrificed to the bones. To that fire, and the Thuggis did this. Yes, the Thuggis did this, and it's so it came down through the Celtic tradition, and there was no longer any human sacrifice, but still animals were sacrificed, and all of this to propitiate the goddess, and to
But goddess is compassionate. Why would she look for these kind of like ugly stuff?
she's not just compassionate, dear. She is the great demoness, as if we're to believe what it says in the Chandi. Yes, she's compassionate toward her children of that nature. She's even compassionate toward the children of her demonic nature.
I think, brother,
The demonic nature, the demonic actions of her children, they are because of her as well. So we must not limit. This is what Sri Ramakrishna says. When we see the divine presence everywhere and in everything, we're seeing it in the darkness as well as the light.
May I say that that's where the good intentions that we were talking about last week comes into play?
Oh, yes, indeed, Gaurav. Yes, indeed.
Exactly. Good intention and pure heart. Those are the key.
This is all of the great ones have said that, including the Dalai Lama, the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, certainly Christ. And though Sri Ramakrishna didn't say it in those words, that's what he manifested.
Yeah.
And his very manifestation, his incarnation, was out of the compassion of Mother Kali for her children who were so suffering so at the end of this Kali Yuga. And so Sri Ramakrishna came to give us freedom, to give us liberation, to unchain us and set us free. That's what Swami Vivekananda said of him.
Now this question is on the border of like belief stuff, so it might not make sense for everybody, but Ramakrishna, the way we saw Ramakrishna's life, and then there's also this prediction that he will come after some years. Is the form that we already saw Kalki Avatar, or is the form that is going to come? I mean, again, this is will not make sense for everybody, but I was just thinking, what is the secret of?
We don't know, Rajiv. No one that I know of said that this incarnation, this most recent incarnation of Sri Ramakrishna, was as Kalki. Kalki is the final incarnation before the transformation of the world into the Satyug, the final destroyer, the final transformer of this darkness into the light. But it has to be fully destroyed first. This is Kalki, the final incarnation, the 10th incarnation, it said. But no one said that Sri Ramakrishna, no one himself, not himself, nor anyone around him, said this. He did not say that he would come as Kalki in 2086. He said, I'll be born again in 200 years. And he pointed to the northwest and said he would come as a Baul, which everyone then understood this to mean that he would be born in what we call Gujarat or Rajasthan. And but he said he would be totally unknown. Well, Kalki cannot be totally unknown. So we just don't know, Raji. We just don't know.
Now, again, this is like on my own personal, this thing, it might not be accurate, but I feel that the distraction that is being spoken about is symbolic of ignorance and not the world. It's like destroying all the ignorance and the asuric stuff and all that stuff, because it's like catches fire and gets purified by the light of illumination.
Well, if you read the Chandi and the 3 chapters of the Chandi in which Mother creates these great transformations, these mass extinctions, it is not pretty. It is not pretty. It is anything but aesthetically pleasing. So just exactly what's going on, Rajiv, it is beyond our left minds. It is beyond speech and thought. So we do the best we can to gesture at these things from what the scriptures tell us and what arises in us here, but that's all. That's why the caveat at the beginning, this is not meant as instruction for you personally. This is meant for your information as best you can and wish to receive it. And that's all that's hoped for. And it's just wonderful that so many people come and stay and seem to be actively participating. That's what it means to study the art of spirituality together. This togetherness is very important to us. This aching loneliness and sense of separation that we feel because we have created, we as the divine being, have created this manyness. Well, that suffering is a blessing. That ache is a great blessing. Anything else from anyone?
Yeah, I'd like to say something just to check in.
Please, Tom. So good to hear from you.
First, thinking about what somebody said earlier about inside and things being inside you or outside you. For me, all of the stories of the gods and so on represent things that are inside of me, like part of my psyche. But then I was thinking, well, everything's inside of me. The whole world's inside of as I experience it is inside of me.
Exactly.
And also my experience is that in meditation, the sense of inside and outside, like a boundary between me and everything else, breaks down. And the
Completely
whole
disappears.
idea of inside and outside is not so significant. So in some ways, well, yeah, that's enough said about that. On another level, my girlfriend Sam is tested positive for COVID. She's not all that sick. I've been around her a lot, so I may test positive for it. I just feel a little funny, but not all that bad. We'll probably be fine. We've been vaccinated, and most people get over it quickly. Thinking about Sam, this is the thing I think about a lot. I spend a huge amount of time in meditation, and I have for years. Sam has no interest whatsoever in meditation. She's a kinder and happier person than I am. So anyway, that's just the way it seems to me. She likes to tap dance. Tap dancing may be her spiritual path. And I get to live with a goddess, because there's a goddess in the other room with COVID, and I might have it soon. So
Well,
thanks everybody for listening.
I'm so sorry that you might get the disease, Tom, and if you do, may it be mild and brief, and may Sam's be mild and brief. It is not called a pandemic for nothing. It is definitely, this is why we're being so careful here. This virus is very clever. It is consciousness too, and it has continued to mutate and become more and more evasive and more difficult to control. And they just said that it looks like there's 6 more variants on the way, and there may be a winter surge. So may Mother bless us. May Mother bless us. Anything else from anyone? Thank you, Tom. As always, so good to hear from you. And yes, what you said about in meditation, all of the barriers of inside, outside, all of that just evaporates, because that isn't what is there. That's all a creation of our minds. All right, dears. May there be peace in outer space. Let there be peace in the sky, on the earth, and in the waters. Let there be peace in the herbs, the plants, and the trees. May the gods be peaceful. May the whole universe be pervaded by peace. Let that infinite universal peace prevail throughout my being. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace and beneficence be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Durga, Durga, Durga. May we be safe. May we be healthy. May we be cheerful. May we have peace of mind. And may we be always in the loving and protective embrace of the divine being as our mother and father. So we have our regular classes next week, Tuesday, studying the life of Holy Mother. That's at 7:30. On Wednesday, studying Swami Ranganathananda's book, Divine Grace. That's at 7:30 on Wednesday evening. Then on Saturday, we'll continue discussing, reading and discussing Swami Prabhupananda's How to Know God, his translation of and commentary on Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. And next Sunday, which is the day before Halloween, we will talk about Halloween and the fall festivals, which very much involves Mother Kali. If you think about the colors of Halloween as they've come down to us after all these centuries, they are Kali's colors. An orange red, a reddish orange, and black. These are Kali's colors. So Kali and Halloween are very, as was brought up earlier, there is a direct relationship between what's going on right now astronomically. The Pleiades are very close to directly overhead. They will be directly overhead at the time that I suspect when Kali Puja is tomorrow, which is when Kali Puja is celebrated. The Pleiades are somehow very closely associated with those. Any final thought from anyone else?
I missed it. What was the significance of Pleiades?
The Pleiades are very closely associated with this worship of Kali. And just exactly what the relationship is explained variously. In astronomical terms, there it is. The Pleiades are directly overhead at a certain time of day, a certain time of the night, I mean. There are stories in several spiritual traditions, including Sanatana Dharmas, that we were visited by beings from the Pleiades. And just exactly what that means is explained variously by the Hopi, by the Toltecs, and by the Santals in India. I forget the name of the group.
Yes, the tribals, Santals.
Yes, the Santals. They have these legends. So it's not exactly clear what the relationship is, but there are explanations for it, and these will be brought out next Sunday. I continue to look into it. It's fascinating. I mean, I've delivered the talk every year now for several years, but each year it continues to change based on what's found out. But the relationship between Kali, the worship of Kali, and Halloween is direct. And it was brought up earlier that the Thuggees used to practice sacrificing human beings in the fire. This was also practiced by the Aztecs in Mexico. And it was practiced by the early Celtic people.
On a funny note, brother, I must say, like even now in present day Bengal, the modern thugs, which are like politicians, some of them are big worshippers of Kali.
Well,
they're seeking. Yeah.
There's power there. There's power there.
Yes.
Yeah, there's lots of reasons to worship the divine.
Brother, is it like, should we symbolically like imagine a fire and offer ourselves as sacrifice to Kali?
Well, this is exactly what is done when people take sannyas. They offer themselves and everything they have to the fire of Brahman, to Agni. And
that's why the color of the robe is saffron, which is
the color
of the fire.
Yes, exactly. And so they then are no longer. That human being is gone and they are reborn. They are reborn as whatever their name is as the sannyasin. A pravrajika if they're a woman, a swami if they're a man, And their names end in Ananda if they're a man, which means the bliss or the love of whatever the rest of their name means. And for the women, the Pravrajika names end in prana, which is not the gross prana, but the subtle prana that gives rise to all manifestation. So it's all there in these practices. And the same is true of the Catholics, by the way. The Catholics offer up there when they take their final vows as a monk. That's why they're celibate. They no longer have a lust body. Now, of course, they're human beings and they're fallible and so on. We know all these things that have happened in the Catholic Church. But nominally, that's what happens.
I think that's why the good intention and pure heart is so important, I think.
Oh, Gaurav, you're absolutely right. And maintaining that good intention and that pure heart, that's exactly what spiritual practice is about.
Brother, when
If you want to
Swami Vivekananda came, delivered the lecture, like the talk, I almost felt like a brand new birth is required to be able to even think of those things. I don't know.
Well, as pleases yourself, Rajiv. Just ask and ye shall receive. This is what Christ told us, and he was not blowing smoke at us. Ask with sincerity and persistence, and you will receive what you need to understand. That's why he said, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all else shall be added unto you, all wisdom and all righteousness. And that's why Krishna says in the Gita, if you do this, I will carry you. That is to say, I will take care of all your needs, and I will see that you are not dispossessed. Holiness itself shall transform you. These are the great promises of the avatars. These are the great promises of the incarnations. If we give ourselves to them, if we offer ourselves and all we are to them, then they take full responsibility for everything. And Krishna could not be more explicit in the Gita, chapters 2 through 7 are exceptional in this regard. And Christ said, those who drink from my mouth shall not taste death. And if you think about the ramifications of that, so all of these things, they exist across the traditions, across time. It's because the truth is always there. We are distracted from it. Well and good. If we as the divine being hadn't created this manyness, there would be no distraction. So we're distracted because that's what we wanted to be.
And the thing about like Divine Mother, I've noticed, like you can ask for things, she'll make it happen for you, right?
Oh yes, no question.
And it is like the baby again, the little child, right? If he's crying, then mom gives a toy or something.
Oh,
She'll keep giving you toys.
Mom comes to comfort. But yes,
And then if you
that often
cry a lot, yes, then she picks you up and say, okay, sweetie, I got you.
Yeah. But you're right. The first effort is to distract you with toys.
Yes.
And this is why Sri Ramakrishna says,
to keep giving you toys.
When you're truly tired of your toys,
yes,
then you run to the mother, and she will drop whatever she's doing,
yes,
and take you on her lap. So Anything further from anyone? All right, dears. Well, until next time, may we all be well and in bright spirits. That really helps to keep, when we're well and in bright spirits, it's easier to have good intentions and
Thank you, Brother Shankara. We wish all the best for you, for your health, for your good health. Sometimes you seem a little tired, and in spite of that, you carry on. So we really admire.
You know, when the old machine has been around this long, yeah, it gets tired, but that's fine.
But we really pray, we wish the best for you.
Well, thank you, and of course that is returned 100-fold for you and Neera and your near and dear. And for all of you,
Jai Ma.
Jai Ma.